Yes, guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel. It's the day after. It's not a good day. Um, I'm going to talk about the Euros. I'm going to talk about kind of my review of it. I know you're looking at a squad right now on screen. That's not what I would have done for the Euros. Actually, it probably is pretty close to what I would have done for the Euros. But yeah, I'm gonna talk about this shortly. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna talk about the Euros. I was gonna do what I would have done for the Euros, but that's kind of pointless. It's done. We were rubbish. Southgate doesn't know what he's doing. Blah blah blah. We'll get into all of that. But I'm actually gonna talk about where we go from here and how we can get some success in World Cup 2026. So that's my aim today. So I'm gonna try and quickly cover some of the things that I haven't talked about in the Euro so far. First things first, I'm going to be super smug. I called it, didn't I? I said, we're not going to win a trophy under Gareth Southgate. He doesn't know what he's doing. We're not going to. We weren't going to win this Euros. In fact, I felt less confident about winning this Euros than I have about last World Cup and the Euros before that. Like, we have not looked good at all. We've had a mismatch of a team. It's a miracle we've gotten as far as we have. And I showed you how it doesn't work when you've got Foden stepping on Bellingham's toes. It doesn't work. It doesn't work when you've got Harry Kane but no wingers to run off him. This weird 3-4-2-1 formation, which you've got Saka playing at right wing back and all sorts of stuff going on. It didn't work. It didn't make any sense. And look what happened. We didn't win the tournament. And I think perspective is important here, right? Everyone says but all other England teams before, they've never reached as many knockout games, and Southgate is the greatest because of that, and we all want to, we want to build a shrine to him and give him a knighthood because apparently that means nothing anymore. But let's think about that for a second. He's had pretty easy runs. I know people might say in tournaments no runs are easy, but we've come in with arguably a golden generation. We have probably one of the best defensive midfielders in the league. We have a striker who scores goals for fun. Well, to be fair, he's been anonymous this tournament, scores goals for fun. We've got La Liga Player of the Year, PFA Player of the Year. We have Bukayo Saka, who's been incredible season on season. We've got a quality, defence. Stones has done it at club level, international level, always been quality. Same with Walker. We have probably the best left back on his day in the world. And we have one of the most exciting young central midfielders, and plus the depth, the quality. Palmer, one of the highest goal scorers in Europe. Then you've got Watkins, also one highest goal contributors in Europe, off the bench. The fact that we should have made the final. We came up against a Dutch team that weren't functional, right? They had quality, but they weren't functional. They didn't make the most of their talent. I think they should have. Maybe it's biased because he's coming towards United, but I think they should have used De Ligt. I think De Vrij looked slow and languid towards end of games, and that's what Watkins took advantage of. I think they could have used Frimpong more. They could have used Maatsen off the left because Ake was more of a left back, or I suppose more of a left centre back rather than the sort of marauding left back that you want. I don't think Simmons was particularly impressive. I didn't think it worked playing Depay up top. There were so many different things. I mean, their midfield kept changing with Schouten, Reinders. That Dutch team was not functional. We should have beat them. We should have beat them more comfortably for how much we were all over them in the first half. But I think we got very lucky. It wasn't a penalty in my eyes. I don't care what anyone says about, but he's raised his foot. Well, according to that logic, we should be able to block any shots then. Just let them go in. If you can't put your foot out to block a shot, it's a follow through. Harry Kane has taken the shot. He's caught himself on Dumfries. Fine, he's got a penalty. He scored the penalty. Whatever. He can now add to his eternal stat pad while we all praise the Lord that Harry Kane scores 1 million goals for England. Give me a break. The fact that we made it so hard for ourselves against Switzerland, Slovakia. Switzerland were rubbish, by the way. I was much more hopeful watching them against Italy, and I really thought they'd bring something to the table against us, but they also played suffer ball, and when you've got suffer ball coming from both sides, it is just genuinely a painful watch. And I think with Switzerland, with Slovakia, I mean, we should be beating these teams. Slovakia as well, they ran us close, and they really shouldn't have. And I know I'm going off how we are on paper, but we have player for player some of the best players in the world. And we have a manager who cannot get them to click. Gareth Southgate is the international equivalent of Steven Gerrard, like somehow less than the sum of his parts. Like how are you not at least just the sum of your parts? And he's got players that don't work together, that kind of that don't fit a particular system. It makes no sense, some of the things that he does. It's like, okay, we're going to play counter-attacking football, but we're going to have no wingers that run in behind. Great, well done. We're going to play 2 number 10s, but we're not going to separate them in any way, shape or form. We're just going to have them stepping on each other's toes. And I said this before, like Phil Foden requires Guardiola to kind of like to play a perfect system around him, so he scores an assist, and it's just like everyone's like, oh my god, Phil Foden's the greatest. He's not. He's the greatest at moving sideways. Like this is my problem. Like he doesn't offer anything that everybody else kind of offers. Like there's nothing new from Phil Foden. He's not quick running in behind. Like I would argue Bellingham and Saka are better dribblers. He's not good in the air because he's tiny. Like what is he offering? Oh, these incisive passes. But we were getting that from Mainu. We were getting that from Bellingham. We're getting that from Rice to an extent. We're getting that from Saka. What do we need from Foden? What we needed was a left winger who was going to run in behind and give us a bit of power, give us a bit of I've done it for England before. And Foden is notorious for not having done it for England before. He's always been rubbish for England, and we persist to pick him because he's done it. Like he's done it well in the Premier League. Yes, but Guardiola is an England manager. We haven't got De Bruyne or Haaland or all these players, so we're not going to be as good. Like it just doesn't make any sense. But fine. Like we're in a position now. We've come off yet another tournament where we've underperformed. Right, we've come to a point where we had the players to be able to do it, and we didn't do it. And frankly, at this point, if Southgate continues, I'm happy to just write off World Cup 26. Like he doesn't know, he does not know what he's doing. Like honestly, it's reached a point where if he is the manager, World Cup 26, I'll watch it. I'll support England. Absolutely, I will. I'm not going to say it's coming home again because it won't. And I'm going to say it now with full confidence. I will happily do a forfeit if Gareth Southgate is the manager, World Cup 2026, and we win the tournament, right? But we won't, because we've got the players to do it. We haven't got the manager to make them click. And I'm almost definitely not the manager to make them click. But so I can talk about a few basic things that we can do to fix it. So I don't want to keep going on about like how bad we've been this tournament and the fact that we never deserved to win it. I feel bad for certain players because I think certain players really stamped their authority in this tournament and did really well. The likes of Saka, whenever we gave him the ball, I thought Palmer was unbelievable breakout star of the tournament. I know he's not in the starting 11 of this team that I've put up, but we'll get into it. I think Saka was good. Bellingham was good when he could, but there's again when you've got a little eyebrow slit of a freak stepping on your toes all the time, you're not going to do as well. Watkins was great when he comes on, doesn't get to come on because I don't know. Like Southgate has stock in Harry Kane, I assume. I thought Mainu really stamped his authority in games. I think Rice was more of a defensive figure, but did his job. I liked Gahey. Gahey really stamped his authority on this team, and I thought Shaw changed us when he came on. So a fair few players that really, really did. They gave us something. So we're going to forget all of that. We're going to make some assumptions here. I know this is kind of a hypothetical, but I wanted to do it anyway. We're going to assume that as of this morning, we've sacked Gareth Southgate, and by some insane turn of events, I'm now England manager, right? Or maybe not even now. I assume I've taken like a few months to go and learn from some great managers, and I've done my coaching badges, whatever. I'm here. I'm England manager. I'm looking at a group of players between now and the next tournament, which is World Cup 2026, which obviously will be held in the US, Mexico, and Canada. And this is my plan, right? So because it's not going to be a situation of I'm just going to play. I'm just gonna, this is my squad for that tournament because I don't know who's gonna do what when. I'm gonna talk about some players that are options. So obviously, I've got a full squad of 26 that I think I'm gonna take, but also I'm gonna talk about a variety of different players and what they can bring to England and off So I've got more than 26 that I've got written down on a piece of paper that you can't see. There's going to be a final 26-man squad, which I'm going to go through shortly. But I'm also going to talk about all these players that are going to be given opportunities and the players that I think are going to actually perform. So actually, on this piece of paper, I've got 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 36, 37, 38, 40. I think I've got about 40 players on this on my little piece of paper. I've got 26 up there, so there's going to be about 14 players that don't make it. But I'm going to talk about how players can move, what they can offer us. If there's anyone I've forgotten, please drop it down in the comments. Actually, there's 41 because there is one more player I want to talk about that I haven't got written down. But yeah, I think there's so many different things to talk about with each different player. I'm going to try and go through them as quickly as possible, so this doesn't become the longest video of all time. But also, I'm going to talk about ages because I think I want a good balance of experience and also youth that we take to this tournament, and I want players that are actually going to offer us something. So I don't want a situation of like we're taking 34-year-old Kyle Walker, who was good at points in this tournament, but he looked shaky at points, and we conceded 2 goals yesterday because of him. Like, I don't want to take 33-year-old Kieran Trippier. He doesn't offer anything. Playing at left back, he was rubbish. And why would you play him at right back when you've got Trent? It doesn't make any sense. I don't want to take Lewis Dunk. Lewis Dunk has always been crap for England. He's a bang average defender. Like, I don't want... What is taking him going to achieve, right? Like, if you are going to take more experienced players who are a little bit older, they've got to give you something in this in this setup. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start with... I'm going to talk about my honourable mentions before I get to the players that are in the squad. So you've seen the lineup here. I'll pull up the squad as well. So this is the squad of 26 that I'm going to take. I'm going to close this for a second. So first, honourable mentions. I think Jack Clarke, the first option. Jack Clarke has been really, really good for Sunderland. I think he's definitely a good option to think about. He's going to be 25 come World Cup 2026. But, there's just so many players in that left wing position. You're going to see that very soon. I'm going to be leaving players out. And alongside him in that left wing position, I think Jack Grealish has always done it for England, but he's going to be 30 in that tournament. I think, again, there's going to be more options in terms of the cam and left wing positions that are they're going to give us a little bit more than Grealish by that point. I think he's going to play even less and less from Man City and sort of go down in the reckoning. But I think definitely a player to mention because he has always done it for England. And I think in terms of, we might have taken him for his ball retention, but I'm going to talk about some of the other players in the squad that are going to give us that. But yeah, I think definitely someone to consider. Now, I'm going to now a position that I really struggle with striker, and this I've written down so many strikers because I was just thinking we don't have a guy like Harry Kane who's scored 1 million goals for England against Malta and San Marino, but there are still quality strikers for England. Now, I know I've got Watkins on there, but my honourable mentions, I think Tony, because he's 30 and because we have got quite a few other striker options, I think he's going to kind of fall out of reckoning a little bit. I think, I want England to play a faster style of football, and I know he does play counter-attack with Brentford, but I think he will kind of fall out of favour a little bit. And I know he's been linked with United, but he's not going to be first choice, or at least by that point he won't be first choice because we bought Xerxes, we've got Hoyland. It's going to be a situation of he's going to fade away. And I think, again, across these 2 years, he will get a chance, and if he plays better than other strikers that I do mention, then he comes back into the reckoning. Other English strikers, Ellis Sims, worth mentioning. He's done well in the Championship. Got a fair few goals. I thought he performed well against United in the FA Cup. And Jay Stansfield played very well for Birmingham City. I think he's got about 12 goals in the Championship. He's very young as well. Sims is going to be 25 come that World Cup, and Stansfield is going to be 23. And I think they both got something that they can offer. And Stansfield has been a regular in the under-21 setup, and as we know, they've really, really performed. So definitely players worth thinking about. And my last two sort of honourable mention strikers. Eddie Nketiah. Now, Nketiah is going to be 27 by then. He needs a move because, honestly, I think he's been good every time he's played for Arsenal, but if he's a backup forever, he's never really going to play for England. I believe he's the top scorer at youth level for England. And I think he's a quality little striker. He seems to get into the right spots. He seems to be able to put goals away. And I think, yeah, I really like what Eddie Nketiah could have given us, but he's not going to be my sort of backup striker to Watkins, as you're going to see. And finally, Dom Solanke, I had to throw him in. He's had such a quality season for Bournemouth. I think he's going to continue to have good seasons. I think it's worth mentioning that, you know, he might get a move, but he's going to be 28 by that World Cup, so he needs to get a big move kind of now, and he needs to do it more consistently at potentially a higher level, and then we can see. But, you know, big shout out, he's done really, really well. So that's kind of my honourable mentions for strikers. As you can see, I have struggled with the striker position. I was breaking my head trying to think who we were going to play, and yeah, I'll get into the first choices in a bit. As for other players worth mentioning, I think Kiernan Dewsbury Hall. I think Dewsbury Hall is on the verge. The reason I say that is because obviously he's played in the Championship last season. He's going to be 27 come the World Cup time. I think there are a lot of good central midfield options. If he really, really kills it for Chelsea in the next couple of seasons, fine. I have no problem with taking him, and especially over one of the players. I think Dewsbury Hall, of the players that I'm not taking, is probably the closest to making it in this squad. Just because of the other sort of younger, less experienced sort of central midfielders I've got around. But look, if he kills it for Chelsea, I'm happy to change my mind on that. But I just think there are so many good up and coming central midfield options that will come through. Aside from him, I think I wanted to consider Angel Gomez. Always kind of done it for the youth setup. We should not have let him go from United. He didn't get as much game time as I'd have liked. He's done well for Lille. He's a good little technical, small attacking midfielder, and you know he could have been a really nice rotational player with Bruno Fernandes. Now we wouldn't have needed to buy Mason Mount. But the problem again, Angel Gomez, bit of a patchy injury record, and he's going to be 25 come that World Cup. But I think, you know, definitely worth mentioning. Has done it at youth level and has good quality. I wanted to mention Luke Thomas as well. Again, a youth setup player. He's going to be 25 come the World Cup. The reason left back I struggle with, because I needed to take a backup to Shaw, because we cannot do the same thing of Kieran Trippier or this player. Not playing players out of position. We are playing players in their positions, you know, like players who are going to, you know, who are going to be able to do it from the start. And that's why I've got Luke Thomas as an option, because obviously if Shaw's not fit by then, or whatever, you know, definitely a player you could think about taking. I think, yeah, he's done decently well for Sheffield. We're going to see how he does for Leicester in the Prem. And also Joe Gomez, you know, he's done really well for Liverpool. I don't know to what level he's going to continue to do for Liverpool. I don't know if he's going to try and get a move. If he plays more regular football than he has, I think could definitely be worth an option. But I think there are loads of good young centre-backs, left-backs, right-backs. And I think definitely worth, you know, considering them. And I think it counts for something that Gahey and Konsa have played more than Gomez this tournament. So definitely something to think about. And also Gomez is going to be 29 come that World Cup. And I think it's just worth giving it to the younger players. And finally, I think alongside Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, two players that I think are very, very close. One is Sam Illing Jr., just moved to Aston Villa from Juventus. Not loads of goals and assists, but, you know, plays kind of left wing back. Gives us both of those options, and definitely if he can rise to prominence under Unai Emery, he's going to be only 22 by that tournament, so definitely a player we can think about. And I think, yeah, it really depends, but I think as of now, he's got a lot to prove before that time. And I think as well, another player, Noni Madueke, alongside Dewsbury Hall, very, very close to the squad, but it's just the quality that we have at right wing, and I'm going to talk about that shortly. I think Madueke is very close. I think he should definitely play for Chelsea more often. I would really like a setup where we've got Madueke off the right, Palmer down the middle, and then honestly anyone on the left. Again, I don't really care about Chelsea, but I like those two players, and obviously they've done well for them at youth level, and Palmer's been incredible this tournament, incredible last season in the Prem, and I've always liked Madueke when I've watched him play, so I think I'm actually not against taking Madueke. It's just there are so many good players within this England setup that I just think he's so close yet so far away kind of thing. So those are my honourable mentions. Also, Madueke is going to be 24 by the tournament. I don't know if I mentioned that, but yeah, he's going to be 24 by the tournament. So a lot of players to consider. I'm going to also mention 3 players that were in my squad, so this would have made it 29, but I've crossed them out. I originally had them, but there's a few players that just had to go ahead of them. But these players, I would say, again, watch their progress, see how they do, but so close. James Maddison is one of them. James Maddison, I had him originally down. He's going to be 29 come the World Cup. But there is a player that I'm going to talk about, not in the starting 11 here, who I think just edges it for reasons I'm going to get into. Maddison, obviously quality. I think it's similar to Gomez. Obviously not. I think he's better than Angel Gomez, but similar in the mold of a technical player who can kind of unlock defenses. I think he would have really been a useful option to have here in this tournament. But again, a player who wants ball to feet. We needed wingers in behind this tournament, so there is that. I think Taylor Howard-Bellis is very close, really highly thought of at youth level. I believe he's the under-21 captain, and also has played well for Burnley under Company in the Championship, played well for Southampton in the Championship, and I think he's gonna. It really depends on how he does over the next couple of years, but I think he's gonna do well. He's only gonna be 24 by the World Cup, so even if he doesn't make that, there's players that are a bit older who he could definitely replace for the Euros after that as well. So many options, and finally. Rico Lewis. I was going to take Rico Lewis as a CDM option, but again, I'm not taking him as a right back, and you'll see who my backup is. But I think he's just a little bit too young. Needs to play a bit more regular football. Maybe he will over the next couple of seasons. I know he's super highly thought of by Guardiola, but I think he needs to play a bit more. He's only going to be 21. This is the thing, right? Some of the players that have missed out, like Lewis, who's going to be 21 come World Cup 26. Lewis, for example, I'm looking at a bunch of old players now. Even players like Jack Clark, Ellis Sims, they're going to be 25. Following World Cup, they're going to be 26. Following Euros, they're going to be 27, right? Jay Stansfield, only 23. He's going to be 25 come the following tournament. And even Dewsbury Hall, who's 27, come the World Cup, he's going to be only 29 by the Euros. It's not super old, right? All these players definitely have a chance. Eddie Nketiah is going to be 29 by Euro 28. So loads of different players, loads of different options. They will still have a chance to make it in future tournaments. I think World Cup 26 either just comes a little bit too soon for them. Maybe they just haven't got it just yet. And a couple of these are sort of how I feel towards certain players as well. So there's a little bit of my bias that comes into it. But before I get into the actual players that make my 26-man squad, as mentioned as well, the players that didn't make it, the players that I've talked about already, about 14, 15 of them, they are going to get a chance to play in the next 2 years. We've got qualifiers, friendlies, Nations League, this, that, blah, blah, blah. They're going to play, right? I want to see everyone before we go to the tournament. So I'm going off a fair bit of assumptions here with the tournament that I'm looking at. But I've got a clear strategy which I'm going to take into this tournament. So what I've done is, obviously you've got your 3 goalkeepers which you have to take. I've got 2 left backs, 2 right backs, 6 centre backs, and sort of 5 central defensive midfielders, 2 attacking midfielders, 2 left wingers, 2 right wingers, 2 strikers. And there are players which I'm going to talk about who can play in other positions as well. But mainly, every position has got a backup. You don't need a million backups in one particular position, and you're kind of in a position where you've got a backup, and if somehow both of you are injured, there's still a player that can play in that position. But that's your plan C. Gareth Southgate's plan B was someone playing completely out of position. We don't want that. We want plan B to be just someone else in that position who is definitely capable of doing that. So I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to go through the starting 11 first, actually, and then talk about the squad. And I'm going to talk about here players that could come in and whatnot. Now, Pickford in goal. He's going to be 32 come the tournament. I think he's always done it for England. He was absolutely sensational yesterday. He definitely needs to improve his distribution. I think he's just a bit of a. I'm going to wallop it and see what happens. But we do want some level of experience in the squad, and I think Pickford will just give us that. And I would like to have him there. So definitely, John Pickford is going to be in the squad. And going to be our starting keeper, but I'm actually open to the other 2 keepers who I'm going to talk about shortly. I'm open to them starting as well. That's actually okay with me. Trent at right back. Look, he's not brilliant defensively, but he's a quality right back, and we've got a fast front line, so we can get the ball in behind, and we're going to play to everybody's strengths, right? We've got fast forwards. He plays with fast forwards. He plays with Salah, Nunez, Luis Diaz, Jota, like they're not players that want to receive the ball to feet and dribble sideways like Phil Foden, Harry Kane. Like you've got players that are going to run behind, and we've got Trent Alexander-Arnold facilitating that. So I think he's really going to do wonders for us there. I think Gahey, he's going to be 26, right in his prime come that tournament. I hope he gets a big move. I think he's been quality for Palace, but he's been absolutely sensational this tournament. I think he was absolutely wonderful yesterday, and I think he just is going to be the next big thing. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does next World Cup. And I've got Branthwaite next to him. Now, people are looking for John Stones. I'll get to him. The reason I've got Branthwaite is because I want a left-footed centre-back. I want to be able to open up those passing angles. They're really important things, right? Like, it changes the way we can play. Like, sometimes we did look a little bit closed off yesterday by having 3 right-footers in defence. Like, it is good to have that because you open up, like, if you look at the mouse here, right? You open up the passing angles out here into your left winger, left central midfielder. You can also play it across here again, or you can play it out to your left back. And you can kind of, this is the beauty, right? Shaw will probably step up. Then you've got Branthwaite who can move across. Gahey, if Rice needs to drop in and kind of operate in that position. You've got so many kind of different options and things that you can do. And the same, if Trent, steps up into here, Gahey's got kind of that option to pass out here, and Rice can kind of drop in and do all of that stuff. And if he does, then you've still got more passing angles here with Branthwaite. So that's why I wanted a left-footed centre-back, and as you're going to see shortly, we've got back up to that position. And also, Shaw can play there as well. He's done it for United, and he's done it quite well. So definitely, we've got a few different options here. And that's one thing I wanted to mention about Luke Shaw as well. Can play left centre-back. And Branthwaite, he's going to be our 4th choice in this, but can play left back if he absolutely has to. But like, there's 2 options behind Shaw, so don't worry too much about that. And Trent is only a right back. We're not going to switch to 3 at the back at any point in the formation in the tournament. We're playing 4-3-3, and we're going to go out and try and win the damn thing by playing like a big team, because we're a big team, right? I'm not having this nonsense of switching. So he's going to play purely as a right back, because he can't play at central midfield. It doesn't make any sense. Oh my God, Gareth Southgate. I cannot believe I'm having to say this. As a casual football fan, just because someone's a good passer does not make them a good central midfielder. Every position, I'm sorry, if you're a professional footballer, you should be good at passing generally, but you don't become a good central midfielder just because you're a good passer. You need to be positionally aware. You need to be a good dribbler. You need to be competent in defending. Like, so many of these things, Trent Alexander-Arnold isn't great at, and that's fine. He's a right back. Let him play as a marauding right back, and it will work because we've got a good, quick defensive line as well. So that's that. In CDM, I've got Rice. I think that's without question. And in fact, I'm gonna make Declan Rice my vice captain. I was gonna say captain. I'm gonna make him my vice captain. I think he looked a little bit shaky this tournament, but he's always done really well. And I think he's not just a pure DM for Arsenal. So that's definitely, it looked like he was learning to facilitate Maino a little bit towards the end of the tournament, but obviously they were learning to play with each other. I think come the next World Cup, once they play more regularly together, I think they're going to be unstoppable, the pair of them. And obviously, like, they're both really good. We can kind of do something a little bit like this. These two can keep playing these channels. Maino will drop into here. Maybe Bellingham drops in. Like, there's so many things we can do with this midfield because everyone can play everywhere. So I think definitely something to consider. And obviously Rice can drop in here, drop in and receive and play a variety of positions. So we've got that, and if we need to play 4-2-3-1, that's the maximum amount of defensive kind of pragmatism that I'm willing to do. 4-2-3-1, right? So that's the situation with Rice. He's going to be my vice captain. Kobbie Mainoo and Rice is going to be 26 come the tournament? No, 27. I should also mention Trent is also going to be 27, so a couple of players in their prime. Branthwaite's going to be 24, so just coming into it. Hopefully he gets a good move. Now, the thing is, Shaw's going to be 31, but again, we do need some experience here and there. And I think in terms of left backs, we're not blessed with left backs. And also, the left backup that I've got could definitely be a good option kind of moving forward. And potentially might break through, but it really depends on how he does over the next couple of years. But I think, I'm sure he needs to start. And 31's not super old. Like, I doubt he's going to be a liability at that point. So Luke Shaw is going to be our left back. Kobbie Mainoo's only going to be 21, but he was sensational this tournament. I can't even imagine. Like, the guy plays like he's a prime sort of 28-year-old midfielder with loads and loads of experience. and I just can't even imagine when he's got 2 more years of top flight football under his belt. He's saved us 100 mil for like central midfielder for Man United. I think he's just unbelievable. I love watching him play. In fact, I was saying yesterday that he seemed to connect really well with Declan Rice, and one of my mates who's an Arsenal fan said that, oh, don't worry, we'll buy Mainu, and I literally went, I will sell any Man United player, and I'm willing to sacrifice like members of my family to keep Kobbie Mainu at Man United. I love him so much. He's just so unbelievably good, right? And I think he's just, going forward, Kobbie Mainu is he's going to be the one, and he can just do so much and control the ball, progress it, collect it from defence. He puts in a defensive shift as well. He's so good. But yeah, I'm going to stop standing over Kobbie Mainu, but yeah, he's a given in that central midfield position. Jude Bellingham is actually going to be our captain. Reason being, I just think he gave us a bit of drive. Every time we seem to be losing a game, it's like Jude Bellingham's like drop deep, pick up the ball. He seems to be shouldering the responsibility, something that I've never really seen Harry Kane do. He was like even yesterday, he was like hurtling around everywhere. I'm going to run hard and try and push and make something happen for the guys. And he's got that personality, that arrogance, that strength. And once he's got a couple, bear in mind, he's only going to be 23 come that tournament, but he's just got so much about him. Like, he could be a Ballon d'Or winner by the end of this year. And I think he's just got so much experience, maturity, like flair, and just the ability to grab a game by the scruff of the neck. I just think he has to be our captain. I like the way he plays sometimes. I think that's what like older English fans or Man United fans describe to Bobby Robson, for example. I just think, did I say Bobby Robson? Brian Robson. I just think we miss. I think he's just that perfect attacking midfielder. I think he'll be a perfect captain. I'm looking forward to seeing what Bellingham becomes over the next couple of years. But yeah, he's our captain. Right wing Saka, no question about that. Saka's he's only gonna be 24. He's so sensational right winger. We should have passed him more, right? He was so good this tournament as well. The goal against Switzerland, just everything about him. And now that we're gonna be a bit more occupied by the left winger, I think he's gonna have a bit more space to play, and I think he's gonna be absolutely brilliant. So yeah, only 24. I'm going to get to Watkins in a second. Now, the left winger splits opinion. And I know everyone's going to say, oh, because you're a United fan and you love Marcus Rashford, you're playing him. Yes, to an extent, yes, I do love Marcus Rashford, but I know what he's capable of. When he has Luke Shaw there, when he's got a quality midfielder and a quality sort of front line with him, we know what he's capable of. He's hit, it's people are forgetting, it's been one season since he's hit 41 goal involvements, right? He's going to be 28 in his prime by that World Cup. And he's that player who runs in behind. He's a powerful, like tall, strong runner. He's 6'1". He's a good headering option as well, like for set pieces, right? He's got a powerful shot in him, and he's got a good cross in him as well. And the thing is, he's always going to be running off, and like he's just always done it for England. He's like in international tournaments. He was in the list yesterday when they posted it of like top scorers in Europe in international tournaments for England, right? He's got 8 goals. He was sensational in the World Cup. Should have played way more than he did. I think he's always been quality when he's come on for England. The game that really stands out this season, because obviously he wasn't great for United, no doubt, but that Italy game where we beat them 3-1 of the qualifiers, that goal where he just powers through. He's super fast and he's strong and he's a good dribbler, and he would just give us that extra option. Like it's just. He was what would have facilitated Harry Kane. I just think, I'm so sick and tired of Harry Kane, but he would have facilitated. He's kind of the perfect player to play alongside him, but right now I just want a really fast front line that's just going to trouble oppositions. I think almost in the French mould of, Mbappe, Kolo Muani and Dembele, just everyone is going to be rapid and just a problem to deal with. That's why I've got Rashford, and that's why I've also got Watkins. I think Watkins has been quality for a few seasons now. He's going to be 31 come the tournament. But he runs the channels, he's quick, he's tall, he's a good option, and I think he is just, in terms of the strikers that we've got, I think England, but we could do so much worse than Watkins, and I think he's going to be that perfect guy to kind of just be that. You don't want that front three running at you, and then like you look over Watkins' shoulder and Bellingham's running at you, and then you're like, oh, okay, maybe if I get past them, nope, you've just got utmost control in midfield with Maino and Rice. Like this team will cook. I genuinely think with this team, and when I get into the squad, we could win it. We could honestly win a trophy. Like that's how good these lot are. So this is my team. Those are the reasons why I think we're going to do really well. And now I'm going to get into the squad. Gareth Southgate, here is your masterclass on how to build a squad for an international tournament. There's no need for a million right backs. There's no need for Lewis Dunk. He doesn't offer you anything, right? So let's open up this squad. So obviously, starting 11, you've already seen. Now, Ramsdale is going to be a backup keeper. I wouldn't mind if he's first choice. If he gets a move and he plays regularly, I think he's a quality keeper. I wouldn't mind him playing. He's going to be 28, so right in his prime. Well, not actually for a keeper, he's still kind of probably potentially a year or two away from his prime. But yeah, he'll be a quality option. I'm taking Trafford over Henderson. I think Trafford should get a move either this season or next season. And I think, as a third option, he's only going to be 23. So I think easily you've got 2 more tournaments in him. 2, maybe 3 tournaments, right? 3 tournaments, 6 years? Yeah, you've got 3, potentially even 4 tournaments in Trafford. So I think, give him some tournament experience, at least take him with you, right? There's no point in taking, like, Dean Henderson, because he's older, like, these older players on the bench, like, you don't need a million guys for experience. You need, and I'm going to talk about the ones that I have taken for experience, but Trafford is a good option to take for sure. I think Konza was quality in the game that he did play, and the beauty with Konza is he offers you right back, left back, and centre back. So he's also in there, and he's going to be 28, so right in his prime. So I think quality there. The one of 2 32-year-old players that I'm taking. Pickford was one, John Stones is the other. Stones is actually a quality kind of older option that you can take. I think he's like him and Lewis Dunk aren't even, forget the same page, they're not even from the same book, right? Like Stones is so unbelievably good. He's got way more pace, and I think he'll retain some of it, but I think obviously slowly will become kind of a second choice. But if you want experience and you want to go for the dressing room, he's there and can also play and give you that option. So he gives you that and can step into DM if you need him to, can play in a 3-back, which he won't, but can. Plays at centre back. I think Stone's quality. Now, our backup for Luke Shaw. I think, obviously, I've talked about Luke Thomas as one option, but I think the option that I want to take is Leif Davis. Now, Leif Davis, I should mention, is the top assister in the Championship. Now, the quality of the Championship is a lot higher than you might think. He's going to be playing for Ipswich in the Prem this season, so we'll see how he gets along and potentially could get a big move. He's only going to be 26 come the next World Cup, right? Which means he's only going to be 28 by Euro 2028, and you've got maybe 2 or 3 tournaments, right? Proper marauding left back. I've watched him play very minimally, but I think he's so good. He's only 24 right now. He's got his career ahead of him, and we need those attacking left backs. He's got 21 assists in 43 games from left back in the Championship, right? So I think definitely a good option to take, and yeah, excited to see what he does in the Prem. So he'll be our backup left back, and our backup right back, Tino Livramento. I think Tino Livramento is, he's genuine quality. He's super young as well. Like Tino Livramento is only 21. He's going to be 23 come the World Cup. You've got 3 or 4 tournaments in him, and I think definitely a great option to back up Trent. I think he's looked really good for Newcastle. He needs to get over his injury problems for sure, but he's like we've got right back options. We've got guys that can play in that position. We've got Konza, and as mentioned, we've got Trent. So I wouldn't worry too much, but obviously Livramento, I want him to be a backup. I think he's so good and he's so quick as well. So definitely a slightly different option to Trent, and I think he's defensively a little bit more solid. So definitely, as I said, a really good option to have with Tino Livramento. And our next sort of centre back, so kind of I would say Branthwaite's direct replacement, is left-footed Levi Colwill. I think he was just coming off an injury, but he would have been a really good option because he can genuinely play left back. Has played there for Chelsea. He's more of a defensive left back, so he'd be very much in the Ake mode. But like he's a genuine left-footed left back. I think it can provide you a little bit of something going forward, and I think he also gives you that option to, you don't have to forcibly play a right footer there. And suddenly now you've got Shaw, you've got Leif Davis, you've got Colwill, and you've got 3 options that can genuinely play that position. So you're kind of set there. And if you absolutely have to, you've got Konza, and if you absolutely have to, you can play Braithwaite there. But there's so many options, right? But it means that we don't have to go to a right-footed, 33-year-old as plan B, right? Your right-footed player is plan like E already. So Levi Colwill is going to be the option, and is also going to be the centre-back backup, and he's only 23, so very good player, 3 or 4 tournaments in him as well. Next option, Jura Kwanzaa. Unlucky to miss out on this tournament. I think he's so good. One of few Liverpool players that I'll say good things about. But I think Jura Kwanzaa really, really good option. Nice and tall, good passer. Don't get me wrong, his mistake for that Fernandes beauty was still very, very funny, and the fact that people still use that as people use that as an analogy alongside Gerrard's slip. Don't get me wrong, as a United fan, that is so unbelievably hilarious, and I love that we knocked them out of the FA Cup. But Jura Kwanzaa, I can't knock him. He's a quality player, and he's quick. He's young. He's only going to be 23 come the tournament. So yeah, good 3 or 4 tournaments in him. Obviously, will probably be 3rd choice centre back, but gives you a little bit of something. And yeah, so. Moving into the midfielders, my backup attacking midfielder to Jude Bellingham is going to be Eberechi Eze. And Eze can also play off the left wing. He's a slightly different option, likes to receive ball to feet, but I want our first option to be a guy to run in behind. But yeah, Eze, I think, can help you unlock a team with some dribbling. I think he's, whenever I've seen him play as well in the Prem, and I've watched a bit more of Eze than I have a lot of the other players, I just think Eze... he's just got so much of quality, and I think players actually look so scared when they see him running at him. I think Eberechi Eze gives you that extra bit of drive, and could have definitely been a really good option to bring on yesterday instead of Tony. To bring off Foden and bring on Eze, that could have been a really nice option. Just someone running at you, someone running at you, and just making you a little bit uncomfortable. I think could be a really, really good option to have on the bench. So yeah, Eze as a backup to Bellingham, and also potentially Marcus Rashford as well. A central midfield backup, we've got a little bit of that through the squad. My first option is going to be Jimmy Garner. I think he's criminally underrated. I really thought we should have never let go of him at United. He's only 23 as well. He's going to be 25 come the tournament. I think he's so good. I don't think he's as good as Mainu, but he's a proper midfield sort of metronome, right? Can really set the tempo. Good passer. Has played right mid, left mid, and has played right back, left back for England under 21s. I think he just offers so much across the squad as well. Obviously, I wouldn't really consider him as a right back, left back backup through the squad, but I just think central midfield, CDM as well, can sit and control the tempo. Good decent defensive numbers as well. I would like him to get a move up the league, or at least for Everton to improve a little bit. I like Everton mainly because they're also Liverpool's rivals, but I want them to climb up a bit. They're kind of they're Premier League heritage, right? We want them to sustain and do well. And I want I want Garner to be playing high-level football. But yeah, I think he's a good option to definitely have. And I don't want to take Conor Gallagher because I think he offers you nothing. It's just honestly, if one of the fans released one of their puppies, like a Jack Russell Terrier, onto the pitch, I think he would do exactly the same thing that Gallagher does, which is just run around ooh, energy. It doesn't offer anything, right? Moving on to the next player, a genuine defensive midfield backup. It's going to be Adam Wharton. I think it's so harsh that we didn't get a run out of this tournament, but he's super young, right? You've got solid 4 to 5 tournaments in him. Just for context, World Cup 2026, he's only going to be 22 years old. He's super young. A good defensive midfield option, very good defensive numbers, and it's just, again, another metronomic player, a player that can control the tempo of the game from midfield, and will distribute really well, and plays with guys like Eze and Elise, so can release the ball in behind for quick wingers. And what are we playing with? Rashford, Saka, quick wingers, right? And a quick striker as well. I think Adam Wharton would just give us so much. Would be a really good, backup to Rice, backup to Mainu, can play in those positions as well. And he'll get rotated and he'll play a fair bit. And that I think, Wharton's a great option. As for our final midfielder, This is going to be, and I think every squad should have one. This is my Swiss Army knife, and that is Archie Gray. Now, I think a lot of you will have heard of him. Played for Leeds, a lot at right back, but also centre mid, CDM, also Cam, I believe. So good. From what I've seen of him, he can do everything: defend, attack. He's a great passer, incredible dribbler. He's just moved to Spurs as well for, I believe, £30 million, and for an 18-year-old, that is, like, they really believe in him. I think he's gonna get a fair bit of game time. I know Bentancur tends to get injured a fair bit. I'm not convinced Postecoglou trusts Oliver Skipp loads, and one of the reasons why I haven't got Skipp in this team. But yeah, I think Gray has just got, the world at his feet. I think he's going to be so unbelievably good, and he's kind of a central midfield backup. And the thing is, he's kind of there as a Swiss Army knife if we need him to play in any position. He's kind of like your sixth choice left back, right back if you absolutely need him, but can play in any midfield position. And just, it gives you a little bit of drive, gives you a bit of youthful energy, great experience for him. He'll only be 20 come that tournament. So bear in mind, he has got a solid 5 to 6 tournaments ahead of him. He will be a mainstay, and he's going to be so unbelievably good, right? Archie Gray definitely going to be in the squad. Marcus Rashford's backup is going to be Anthony Gordon. The only reason why I'm not making Anthony Gordon the first choice is because, he's good, he's young. I think he is just, he's not done it for England as much as Marcus Rashford. I think that counts for something. I think it's so important that you've got players that have done it for the national team, because as we've learned from Phil Foden, if they just never do it for England, it's going to cost us in tournaments, and I think it's worth just having him there. But Gordon, I think, is so good. It's actually criminal, like borderline treason, that Anthony Gordon hasn't played like more than a few minutes this tournament. I think could have been a really solid option. He's going to go in as Marcus Rashford's backup. Definitely going to rest and recover Rashford as much as he can. And come on as an option. Maybe Rashford might not be performing, right? So there is that with Gordon. So definitely a great option. My backup to Ollie Watkins is going to be Cameron Archer. And the reason it's going to be Cameron Archer is because, well, for one, by the way, Gordon is going to be 25 by that tournament, so still super young. We'll have like 2 or 3 tournaments and then moving on. Because I think come Euro 28, Marcus Rashford is going to be 30 and Anthony Gordon's going to be 27. So that could be when sort of the pendulum shifts. But, I mean, we'll see, right? And obviously, with Rashford, as much as he's not brilliant outside of the left wing, can play right wing, can play striker, option in both positions. Watkins can play left wing. Gordon can play left wing, right wing. You've got players that can do everything, right? Not Phil Foden, who everyone says, can play left wing, right wing, Cam, and then realistically can only play like a very weirdly specific, like Cam left wing hybrid position that Guardiola's built just for his favourite son, right? It's like these guys can actually play in a bunch of different positions and give you the option all over the pitch. So it's that. Cameron Archer, I like him a lot. I think he's done well for a struggling Sheffield team. He's gone back to Aston Villa because obviously there was the clause. So I don't know if anyone if a lot of you know about this clause, but it's basically a situation. It's kind of like a loan, but basically Sheffield bought him under for sort of half his transfer fee. Basically, if they stayed up, they paid the rest and get to keep him. But if they went down, they've only kind of paid half, so it's kind of like a loan fee. And he's gone back to Villa, so he's gone back to Villa now. I think they're looking to offload John Duran, so I think Archer will sort of back up Watkins. And obviously now that they've got Champions League as well, there's going to be a load of game time available for Cameron Archer. I think he's going to really progress. He's only going to be 24 by the tournament, so again, 3 or 4 tournaments for him. Beyond that could be a really good backup option for Watkins. And finally, Cole Palmer. Does he need an introduction? He is unbelievable. I think if Jude Bellingham or Bukayo Saka didn't exist, oh my God, Cole Palmer would start this team, right? He's so good. But coming off the bench, I think he'll be perfect against tight defenses, just on lock teams. And I think he'll play a lot more than he has this tournament. And he's, again, super young. Cole Palmer's only going to be 24 come that tournament. So, you're not really, he's the same age as Saka, so he's not really going to phase out Saka. But if Saka or Bellingham, and touch wood, this never happens, but if they get injured, he gives you so much. He just gives you that direct replacement. He's so unbelievably good, and you never know, right? He might perform better than Saka in the next 2 years, and takes a spot. I doubt it, but is there. I think Palmer is unbelievable, going to be a great option. First one off the bench if we need him, and I think first one off the bench just regardless. And I think he's going to get a fair bit of game time. And I think, his quality, can play right wing, cam, and even left wing if he has to, but we've got 3 left wing options ahead of him, potentially even 4 with Watkins. So, that's my squad. I think, that's a squad that can actually go out and win the World Cup, or a squad that can go out and win, the following Euros once they've matured a little bit more. And as you can see, there's a system that I want to. This is the thing, right? And all these players on the bench, apart from maybe the sort of the third choice keeper or whatever, they're going to get some game time through the tournament. If you've like, for example, the dead rubber against Slovenia, we'd already qualified. Give some other players a chance, and they're going to get chances in this tournament. If we win our first two World Cup group stage games, you best believe that I'm going to rotate most of the squad to play that final game, because you need to know what everyone's capable of. And as I said, with the entire list of 41 that I've described, they're all going to get chances. There's going to be players that are coming through in like different academies, and like players that are going to be coming through, abroad and all over from the English setup. And I think everyone will definitely look to be given a chance across the next 2 years. But this is the list of sort of 41 that I would like to give a chance to. And try and build a squad, but this is the squad I think I'll end up taking, and everyone will get a chance for sure. Even players who are backup for positions like striker, left back, right backs, all these kind of guys, they're going to get run outs, because there's going to be players might not perform. I think these guys are all quality. Sometimes they might not do it, in which case they'll get dropped. And I think we just have so much by way of options, so many players. And we don't have a left back and then he's backed up by 3 right backs. He's backed up by a left back, then a centre back who can also play left back, then another centre back who can play left back, and then if you absolutely have to, you can back him up with a right back. But it's like everyone's got there's a plan B for everybody, there's a decent enough plan C for everybody, and everyone is designed to play that fast-paced style of football where we've got kind of a penetrative attacking midfielder, a fast front line, a good metronomic central midfielder like the likes of Kobe Mainu, Archie Gray, Adam Wharton, and also Jimmy Garner to that extent as well. A couple of good quality CDMs, and then a really quick defence. We can play a high line, put pressure on the opposition the same way that some of the top teams did this tournament as well. And I think I want to do something similar to what France did, with Upamecano, Saliba, quality athletic central defenders, and also fullbacks that can play that high line, and we can put pressure on our position and actually put teams if we do come up against the likes of Slovenia, Slovakia, for example, or across the world. The examples that I can think of from the last World Cup, Iran, for example, we need to be putting these teams away, and I think that's what this will give us. And the thing is, if we can't unlock teams, we've got guys like Eze who can come on. We've got guys like Wharton, who I think underrated in terms of his actual, as I said, his distribution can help unlock a team. We can bring on Cole Palmer, who can definitely do that. So many different options, not just players who can run in behind. We've just got kind of players all over the pitch, all through the squad, but they're all fitting the system that I want to play. They all make sense for this particular system. We're playing fast-paced, attacking football. Not counter-attacking football, that's different. We're not sitting deep and then counter-attacking. We're playing guys who can press. We're going to play a proper man-for-man, sophisticated press. We're going to squeeze teams. We're going to run in behind, and especially against the bigger oppositions where there's going to be more space because they're going to try and attack us as well. We're going to really go out and try and kill those teams. And for anyone who says but you need a striker to drop deep, and Kane would have been really useful, and that Morata wasn't dropping deep and facilitating. I mean, to an extent he was facilitating Williams and Yamal, but he was also crashing into the box trying to get the goals. And I don't want my striker to drop deep, because frankly we put in about 3 or 4 crosses yesterday, and Harry Kane was nowhere to be seen. It was mate, if I'd sort of focused on another player and you told me Harry Kane was out in Ibiza with Wayne Minica and Jack Grealish, I would have believed you. He was so anonymous. As a striker, the least you can expect is if we brought in a left back who can actually now cross the ball, and we've got players with good crossing on both sides. The least you can ask your striker is just to get in the middle and try and get on the end of it. Except he's dropped in super deep. He likes to drop and distribute. Well, we don't want that. We've got enough players who can distribute from midfield. I want a fast, attacking, nightmarish forward line. I want every forward player to scare the living daylights out of the opposition that we play against, and that's how we win. We impose ourselves as like this big sort of. We're one of the most talented squads we're taking to these tournaments. Let's start acting like it. Let's go in with a bit of pomp, a bit of arrogance, and a bit of, we're going to come out and try and kill you, instead of this fearful, like, 4-3-2-1, not 4-3-2-1, 3-4-2-1, but, like, everyone's basically a defender, and then we've got Phil Foden, who's doing a half-ass press by himself, like, and then, in the meantime, he's also going to step on Bellingham's toes all the time. I want Bellingham to have absolute freedom. If I take you back to the squad, right, I want him to have full reign, because Rashford and Saka are going to be parked right up there. Watkins is going to be running in behind again, right in the box. Mainly's just kind of distribute, and I know I'm moving him sideways. He's going to be doing more of this, because if I was doing this, I'd have to change this to Phil Foden. Rice kind of looking after it, dropping into these kind of areas, and I want Bellingham just to have free reign of the pitch. And for anyone who's saying like, oh, you shouldn't be giving Bellingham free roam because when he had free roam, he wasn't that good. He wasn't that good because he had Phil Foden in his position constantly. Like, that's what affected Bellingham, not that he had free roam. He's got free roam for Real Madrid. Like, they've got their midfielders that kind of play some level of structure, with Modric with a bit of free roam, and then you've got your wingers. And yeah, Bellingham's kind of your auxiliary centre-forward kind of striker. By the way, another option that he could do, for example, if Archer's not really performing and struggling with Watkins, we could kind of, like, move Watkins, assume he's, I don't know, Eze or Palmer, for example, and then move Bellingham into that centre-forward position, or if you want to play another central midfielder like Wharton, for example. Could definitely do that, and have Bellingham playing as an auxiliary centre forward, Rashford and Saka in a bit closer, playing as split strikers almost, something that Rashford has done quite a bit for United and for England before, and something that Saka definitely can do. But yeah, like, there's so many options, right? And I want Bellingham to have free roam, nobody stepping on his toes, right? Everybody just kind of facilitating, I would argue, the best player in the world right now, to do whatever the hell he wants to do, and just, like, help us win a damn competition. And I think with a nice sophisticated press, with a squad that's got proper backups, with the plan A in mind, across the team, I think we'll go a long way and could actually win the tournament, or at least play good football on the way to wherever they get knocked out. And one more thing to mention as well, there's a plan B, right? We can unlock teams with players like Eze, like, to an extent, Garner, Wharton, and Cole Palmer. But also, if you're thinking, oh, we need to get a big man up top to put headers in, I don't necessarily agree with that, because we've got enough guys with good long shots. We don't need guys just to park them in, because we tried it yesterday with Tony and it doesn't really work sometimes. Because a big man up top and you're putting crosses in, you need a couple of them, because the moment you bring a big man on, the opposition kind of know that's what you're trying to do, and they'll just block him off. It kind of happened with Fulkrug against Spain, and even though they had Fulkrug and Havertz, I think Havertz could have made more of the opportunity. I think Germany should have put more crosses in. I just don't think it's something we absolutely need. I mean, you could potentially take a Tony/Solanke to do that for you, but I mean, we've got enough tall players. Like, I think Rashford is tall enough, Watkins is tall enough, Bellingham is tall enough. If you need to just keep spamming crosses in, you can just get those guys in the box. You don't need 6'6" Weghorst. Like, the Dutch tried it. Did it work? No, right? Like, it can work if you've got a bunch of, like, tall guys who can just start. Like, sometimes switching a tactic doesn't mean you need to bring on a big man up top. Like, sometimes, yeah, you might have a guy who's better at heading, but if you've got enough guys who are just over 6 foot, like 6'1" through to like 6'4", fine. Just all you need to do, you just need to change the way you're playing. You need to then just get the ball out to Trent, to Shaw, and just put crosses in. Like, Branthwaite is 6'5", right? Like, stick him in the... Like, honestly, you could just go, right, go start scoring some headers, do that, have you drop in, right? Have you two drop in. It's going to look nuts, but that isn't going to work. Do something like this. Is that left? Basher that right. Saka occupy the sort of middle area. Get Trent up, Shaw up, and just have them put crosses in. And then, get these three guys. They're all pretty tall, like 6'6", 6'1", or 6'2". I believe Watkins is, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to look this up, but if I'm not mistaken, Ollie Watkins is more than 6 foot tall. 5'11", but like that's not short, is it? So get crosses in, get these guys scoring, have this kind of operating here. And the beauty as well is, if you absolutely wanted to, kind of play a bit more of, if you wanted to do the kind of the City like 3-2-4-1 kind of thing, and I'll explain what I mean by that shortly. But if I just move everyone back to where they were, because I just want to talk about a couple of options that we do actually have playing this team. So if you wanted to play, your City, like having one of the centre backs step into midfield, I think neither of Gahey or Branthwaite are particularly good passes of the ball to be able to do something like that. But I think if it's something you absolutely wanted to do, you would play John Stones as another centre back instead of, I don't know, Trent probably. You'd have Shaw kind of push up a little bit. Branthwaite kind of do that. Assume this is John Stones, so he steps into midfield. And then you kind of have something like this. One more in midfield. You got the box kind of doing something like this, and then you move Rashford and Saka a bit closer. Something like that, if you really wanted to, or you have Shaw as your auxiliary guy. You've got kind of Trent, Mainu, Bellingham. If you wanted Saka in there, for example, that's something you could potentially do. Watkins, Rashford up top. Create that box in midfield. A few different options there. 3 in like that. Maybe Shaw pushing up a bit further in. Maybe offering you this. You've got a few different options. Is kind of the point there, right? So, you've kind of and what this basically does for you is you've got a box in midfield, so you can create overloads. You've got a good passer here. You've got guys who, because of their strength of feet, so left foot, right foot, you've opened up passing angles. You've got your willing runners. You've got a guy who can cross, striker. You've got some control, and you've got to kind of deal with all of these guys. So definitely an option that we can consider, but I think that requires a level of coaching. And the reason I think Guardiola does it well, I think it requires a level of coaching that you need a whole season of coaching for. And when you're playing international football, I want to play something a bit more simplistic. That's why I'm playing just standard, not counter-attacking football, just attacking football. We're going to go out and try and kill teams. And if we can't kill teams, we'll go out and just win games. And try and win World Cup 26. So FA, if you're looking at this, I doubt you will, but if you do, give me a call. More than happy to take the England job. And I'll take it for like an absolute fraction of what Southgate's making right now. I believe I read somewhere that he makes 10 mil a year. Like, I'll take the England job on much less than that. So, give me a call. I will happily implement this over the next few years. And as you can see, I've got continuity for every plan. But yeah, well, look, it's been a long one, so I don't want to keep waffling, but that's what I'm thinking of World Cup 2026. And I think a lot of it will stay the same going into the Euros after that. I think by way of Gareth Southgate and England moving forward, not been a good tournament. I think a tournament without a plan. I think Southgate again has kind of, crap the bed right when it counts. He has to go, blood. Plain and simple as that. He's got to go. And I think as well, Kane, Foden, get him out of the team. Start figuring these players out. Certain players will just do it for you. Get them in. Get your Marcus Rashford back in. Get some of these younger players in. Don't play with one left back. There's a lot of basic things that I've changed here. I've not done anything. I wouldn't say I've done anything particularly extreme, but I think it gives us a solid team. And the thing is as well, because it's nothing complicated, it doesn't require you don't need year-round coaching. It's just something you can implement through qualifiers. And there's enough players in reserve, like a solid 15 other players, that if some of these or certain of these don't perform or whatever, we could bring in all these young players. There's so many young ones all around. So, yeah, that's kind of my long, kind of way early preview of World Cup 26 and what we've learnt from the Euros this time around. I hope everyone enjoyed it. And if you're listening to this, you'll be probably listening to this either a day after the day after the final, or just after the final. Let me know your thoughts in the description. I'm gonna start also doing some previews for United as well on here. Obviously, now that the Euros is finished, I'll do more of this stuff once the qualifiers and friendlies start again. But now that United's pre-season starting, I'm going to do some content on that. So that will be the YouTube channel, and obviously listen to the podcast because I'm going to be talking about United stuff on there as well. We should get an episode this week, hopefully. Now that all the international tournaments are done, players start getting signed, so I'll talk about that as well. But yeah, hope everybody enjoyed this. My condolences for yesterday. I feel your pain as well. Although, as I said, go back and listen. I said it would work. It didn't work. Make me the manager. We'll change our fortunes. But yeah, hope everyone enjoyed. Have a great Monday, and or Tuesday, or whatever day you're listening to this. And yeah, I'll catch up with you in the next episode. Thank you, guys.